Hey, welcome back to another edition of Chocobo Chasers. As always, I am G, and I'm joined by the Chocobros, Eric and Dash. How are you guys doing today?
What up,
I'm
Dad?
recovering from a long couple days.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys had a blast. I definitely had some major FOMO missing
You
out with
were
these
dearly
guys.
missed, I can say.
We'll have to make sure that we remedy that. But
We had a good time. Dash, for anybody who didn't know, Dash came to my neck of the woods and we spent some time in New Orleans party.
Oh, yeah.
it's always a party down in New Orleans, though. So this week there's actually been a decent bit of news, and honestly I feel like it's mostly come over the last few days because we were potentially going to record last week and there wasn't shit. So now here we are, we're ready to go ahead and kind of kick things off again, and we've had a chance to play some of the major games that have come out recently. So I'll go ahead and I'll kick us off with what are you playing? Mine hasn't really strayed too far from what we've been doing, playing a bunch of Deadlock. Shout out Seth and Gabe, who have been playing with, mostly my cousins. We've been rocking it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Played a lot more Silent Hill 2. I am getting closer to the end. I just played for like 2 hours just before the show started, so I am in the labyrinth as of now. So we're nearing closer to the end now. This game is so fucking intense. Just I couldn't play. I tried playing last night and I literally couldn't because I was just so afraid. The jail is by far the scariest part of the game for me so far. So I thought the hospital would definitely take the cake. No.
Nope.
So jail, incredible. Also played a bit more college football, and also have been playing, gosh, that actually might be it. I am going to start Life is Strange. Life is Strange Remastered, played that a ton because I wanted to get myself ready for Life is Strange, which I'm going to be starting tonight. So very, very excited for that. And we'll hopefully be kicking off some Metaphor as well sometime here within the next week. So just waiting for Dragon Age to go on sale so that I can join you guys and play Veilguard. But with that, I think that's it for me. So I'll pass it over to Eric.
I have only played Dragon Age Veilguard.
Ooh.
I am at the end of Act 2, and so far I'm having a lot of fun. I think this is the best combat that Dragon Age has had. I do miss one thing specifically, and I talked about it a little bit in the Discord. I miss that ability to just pause it in the middle of the fight and have that tactical map, and you can move your companions around the map and set up what you want. You can still use their moves and everything like that. They only have 2 or 3 that you can choose from. You have to pick at a certain amount that they can get. The writing so far, the early part of the game, it takes a while to get going. One thing I don't like, one thing that I think set Dragon Age Origins apart is you pick your character's origin and then you get to play a small chapter of that origin story, and it sets up for the rest of the game, and it matters a lot. This one, they just give you kind of a brief description through some dialogue early on, and that's your background, and that's what it is, and you just kind of roll with it. I don't like that as much. I wish it would went back to Dragon Age Origins and did that, and giving you a little small sample chapter to play with different backgrounds to choose from, because there's a few to choose. Companions so far, I'm not completely sure how I feel because I haven't finished the game. Other than maybe 2 of these, I kind of feel like they're kind of forgettable in the grand scope of Dragon Age, and I mean they compared it to Mass Effect, and compared to Mass Effect, nothing comes close to Mass Effect's companions.
No.
So thought that fell a little short. I think this game, you can kind of tell, suffers from the rewrites they went through and the game being scrapped twice. There are some elements from that multiplayer live service game they were going to make it at one point that you could kind of see, and the crafting and purchasing of items and things like that. That's what it feels like to me in that area for that. But I think with a little bit more time to cook, I think the writing probably would have been improved. I think the game looks beautiful. I know there was a huge art style argument. Honestly, the graphics I think are very good. I think if we would have gotten Inquisition's game with this combat, you probably would have had a true 10 out of 10. And I like Inquisition. I don't understand the revisionist. I feel like the game gets a lot of revisionist hate because a few months after Witcher 3 came out, and that kind of set the gold standard for RPGs. Kind of same thing with this. Like Baldur's Gate came out a year ago, and now you've got
Everything's trying to play catch up now.
everything that comes out automatically gets compared to Baldur's Gate, which is fair because that's what we should be. That's what we should be expecting from these AAA studios putting in tons of money. I'll give EA credit for a group that typically launches very buggy games. I haven't had a single crash, and I've had maybe one bug, and it was minimal. And
That's great,
it runs smooth, buttery smooth, surprisingly. I did not expect that at all.
One thing I want to ask is, do you feel like Dragon Age Veilguard compared to other titles is a good entry point for somebody who wanted to get into the Dragon Age series?
I think this is probably the simplest version.
Okay.
For sure. And I personally, I think Inquisition's probably a better spot to get into because this game kind of picks up. It's not a direct sequel because they scrap some of that. But you still one of the main guys you're chasing throughout the whole game, like everything the Dreadwolf does in Inquisition carries over to this game, and you begin right away with the first mission, picking up on finding him.
Cool.
So if you didn't play Inquisition, you need to at least go to YouTube and learn the lore.
Okay.
There's a codex, which is pretty sweet, like the old BioWare has. I wish they would bring back the narrated codex. That's just such a feature that nobody's brought back. Nothing is like it, and I think that games can bring you in an even deeper immersion, especially like Mass Effect. You feel like you're on like a space station, going through like a history book, and it's just explaining all these things to you about the original.
Did they only narrate in Mass Effect 1 though?
They did.
Yeah.
But still, bring it back. I mean, come on.
Time to go back to the beginning.
Go back to it. Go back to your roots. I do think people were very, very tough on the game. I think that's because it's a Dragon Age game. I think if this hadn't been a Dragon Age game, I think it would have been getting some fairer reviews from people. Even though I think for the most part, like it went from being like the first day it was like negative on Steam, but now it's back to mostly positive because people have stopped throwing tantrums. The game just is what it is. It's not perfect, but it's not even remotely close to a bad game.
I mean, it's solid.
A lot of fun. I'm 30 hours in so far. Been playing. I didn't play much this past week because I wasn't home, but I've put some time out. Finished Act 2. I think I'm probably 10, 15 hours from the end of the game. I think if you wanted to put the whole dedicated time into it, I think max you could probably do 70, 80 hours. If you're putting in 100,
challenge accepted.
I don't know how the fuck you're going to put 100 hours into this game.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who's doing it, but
multiple playthroughs, I would think.
Multiple playthroughs. One playthrough. If you can get 100 hours out of it, I don't know.
Yeah,
you've walked through every nook and cranny, looking at every detail, and then left your computer screen up for an hour or two.
Read every single optional conversation, imaginable, and yeah. No, that's awesome. And that's all you played over the last 2 weeks? I mean, I know you were out of town. I guess
we played Call of Duty.
We did play Call of Duty one. I forget we didn't record last week. Oh yeah, Dash and I played some Search and some. What else did we play? Did we just play Search all night?
Search and just team deathmatch or domination on that smaller maps, whatever that
map. Huh? Yeah. We had a pretty good time. Dash joined the Baby Bird crew. We were dunking on kids, telling people we're going to suck their dicks.
Throbbers.
Yep. He found out all of our names. Throb Schneider. Who do we have? Throb Marley. I'm a Throb Marley. We have Throbs for Harris. R.I.P. to that name.
Throbbing Hood.
Yeah, we have some good ones. And so Dash got the full experience on that. We played for a while. We were going to just play for a couple games, and then we ended up playing to almost one. So it went for a while. That's all I played, though. I played Dragon Age a little bit.
And it's a solid week, though. I mean, solid 2 weeks.
Yeah. Not accounting for the 5 days I wasn't home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dash, let's hear it.
Well, I can follow up on Dragon Age Veilguard since I finally got to play it myself. Got it delivered sometime yesterday and started last night and just been doing it all day today just to get a good feel of it, just to actually be able to give a good first-hand impression on it, and so far I can really echo a lot of what Eric says. Like, it's a really fun game. The gameplay is very solid. No bugs that I've encountered so far. It feels like it's a complete experience altogether. I mean, I can only say that based on like maybe the 10 hours I've put in it so far. I still only have 4 of the companions because I really have been doing the story stuff. I've been like, once I got to the point where I could like explore Anthelum, or I probably butchered that pronunciation, but the forest and Tiva City. So I just been doing all the side stuff in there, exploring, trying to find all the chests, all the statues that give you stat bonuses and stuff like that. I really like the itemization in this game. So when you find duplicates or you buy a duplicate item, it increases the rarity or it raises the level and unlocks more stats on that armor piece or weapon. So it doesn't really make stuff obsolete at that point. You can still keep on trying to push to upgrade it and stuff. So I kind of like that system because it gives you a lot more variety of stuff that you could try. It looks like, I'm playing as a warrior, but I have access to the light armor, the medium armor, and the heavy armor. So I think that's the same for all classes. So
and there's a good transmog system too.
Yep. I don't like using transmog. I'm like, I want to be this monstrosity of just pieces put together.
It's drip or drown for me, man.
Yeah.
I will do that once I finalize what I want for my armor, but yeah, so I haven't really gotten to know these characters too well. I like Lucien very well. He's pretty cool. I've been rolling around with Nev in my party a lot. I like her abilities. You only get 5 abilities to choose from for each character, and some of them are I think, crisscrossed between characters. Like, some of them share like the same healing abilities that you can use, and most of them have a healing ability, which is handy. So you can pop one on there, and if you don't want to use a potion, you can at least let them use their cooldown on that. But there's synergy, so you can mix and match abilities that will like cause an explosion if you're exploiting the weakness and stuff. So it's really fun, and the gameplay, I feel like I'm in such control of what damage I can take. You can parry, dodge, and all this stuff. There's different combos that you can unlock, and the skill tree is very expansive, and it's kind of overwhelming to choose which direction.
I found myself scattered going around.
I think you could just refund them all and start from scratch too.
You don't have to pay to refund. You can refund as you want, and you can refund individual skills.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Gone are the days of like Diablo 2 where you get to Act 3 and you messed up your skill tree and have to start over.
Yeah.
But, it's been a great game. I'm hoping maybe by the next week I can have it completed since I still have the next couple days off. So we'll see how that goes. In other news, like Eric mentioned, we did some Call of Duty. So that was my first foray into the multiplayer scene. And I haven't been back into it since that initial one because my focus is the zombies mode, which my goal was to fully do the main quest for Terminus now before Season 1 starts, and I lose out on the unique calling card that you get for beating it before it launches. So I finally did that. That's like one of the most longest, complicated main quest in zombies I've ever had to do. There's so many steps and so many parts to it that by the time you're reaching the end, it's like round 25. It's like the earliest I could get it done. But the final boss is a bitch to fight. But I barely did it. Like, I was down to almost like no health. I don't have any revives left. And I managed to finish off the boss. But it's really good. I love the zombies mode in this. And I also prestiged for the first time. So what I like about that is it, resets all your weapon unlock and class unlocks and stuff like that. But weapon level stays. So like, that XM4 that you probably have at max level is still max level when you're level 1 from first prestige. So you can have all the attachments unlocked at that point and still, have a full loadout. So I really like that system. Other games that I've gotten into over the past couple days, a lot more Eternal Strands. So we got to find, the open test for Eternal Strands that I could have streamed it if I wanted to. I just didn't find the time to really sit down and have an environment where I could stream. But I did fully explore the map, and I had a lot more fun with it. Not much. It's still the same map from the first playtest, but I did find the God mode button, or the no clip button, whatever you want to call it. Just accidentally pressed the G button, and the next thing you know, I'm flying through the air, and I can explore the whole map, which I did take advantage of, I will say. And I did look around the map and kind of just explore, get the layout of it, and see where things are. So that was really handy to do. I can really appreciate some of the level design that they put into this when I can look at it from up above, or fly around without having to try to climb over everything. But really looking forward to that one. I know they're aiming for it maybe February of next year is what I think they are trying to do, but we'll see as time goes on, because I know that they're probably waiting to see what other games are releasing at that point, because they don't want to go into a low month, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I think they're
certainly.
what major game was supposed to become I think something was supposed to be coming out
I think
February.
Assassin's Creed is now.
Yeah, that might be it. I'm not sure if it would really compete with Eternal
It's
Strands.
also coming day one to Game Pass, though.
I think
that's big news too.
Avowed was supposed to come out this month, and then now it's coming
Avowed might be one that could possibly.
I think Avowed's April now.
Yes.
Yeah, that game's had some delays.
All right. Next up is Barotrauma. So more submarine action on the moon of Europa. I have some friends that like to break this game. So like one of my friends, he always plays as a medical officer. And what you can do is you can take DNA or material from some of the enemies that you kill, and you can splice the DNA and then inject them into someone. So he injected me with a bunch of this monster DNA. So I was like, I can grow spines out of my back that I can launch, and then I can also bite through walls, and I'm very hard to kill. So what ends up happening is there's this mechanic called Husk, where you can get a parasite inside of you. If you don't take care of the parasite quick enough, you turn into a husk, which is like a zombie, essentially. The problem was I got infected, and I turned into a husk, and because of my DNA modifications, I was so tanky that they couldn't kill me. So they kind of screwed themselves over in the end when I got infected. But great fun. There was one moment where I just wanted to try something. So we were going to go fight another sub, and I took a grenade launcher and a mini nuke. So I just swam out of the sub, and I was looking for the other sub. And I didn't know the grenade launcher was something that you couldn't put away. It's a two-handed item, so the only way to not have it out is to drop it. So I thought I scrolled through it to, stash it, but it was still out, and I clicked the button right as I'm aiming at our own sub, and I just nuked our own sub. But that's why they don't trust me with the weapons locker anymore.
What's the name of this game?
Barotrauma.
How do you
Barotrauma?
Okay.
It's really fun.
I was trying to spell it different ways, and I could not get it right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is actually sick looking.
Yeah, it's really fun. I honestly recommend it. You get a group of people together, and everybody can have different tasks on the sub. So you can have your electrician who's repairing all the electrical systems, mechanics repairing the pumps and the stuff. You have cannons that you can attach to the sub, so you'll have people manning the guns, and the pilot and medical officers. Or there's the freelancer who's a jack of all trades, and he can do some really broken stuff. And then there's a whole mechanic with clowns that I don't want to get into because it's weird and wild. But there's a whole faction of clowns.
Fuck yeah!
Just the juggalos coming for you.
The cult of the honk mother is what it's called.
Okay.
But their whole thing is sabotage. Okay. So another new game that I've played, it's called Lockdown Protocol. So think of like a first person Among Us. So your party will be split into like we had it. There's 8 of us, so we had it so that there 2 of us would be the dissidents who have to like stop us from completing all the tasks. So it's the map layout's always the same, but item placement and what the tasks are always going to be different. So you'll have like a tablet that you pull up and it'll tell you what the task you need to do. And it's a bit more complicated than Among Us. So there's some of these tasks that take a lot of steps. There's simple ones like delivering a box from one department to another. And then there's a whole nother one where it's like you're putting pressure valves on top of a tank, and you have to see which ones pop off. So it's kind of like you got to start off with low numbers and work your way up, because you have to balance it out between the 2 sides to make sure that there's caps enough to handle the pressure on both sides. And people die a lot on that one, because when the pressure builds up and it can't hold, it blows up. If anybody's staring in front of it, it's going to kill them. So there's some creative ways that the dissidents can stop these tasks from being done. Most simple ways, you could probably just find a gun or a knife and just kill everyone. Which there's some, obviously, like, you don't know who to trust at that point. Like, you turn your back on someone, you think that they're on your side, and the next thing you know, they pull out a knife and just stab you to death. Other times, it's just kind of like, how about you just be ineffective at your job? So just like, you sabotage them by hiding the items they need to complete the objective. Or you like there's one where you have to like go to the computer and they'll tell you to go to this room and click a yes on that computer. So what you can do is you can click no before someone gets to that computer, and it will cause them to have to run back to the original computer and start the sequence over again. So it's really fun if you can get a large enough group of people. I think the default makes it like there's only one dissident, but I think it works better when it's 2, because you know who the other dissident is too. So like it was like me and another person. We like team up on them, and we act like we're working on a task when we're just fucking around and wasting time.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh yeah. And finally on my list is a little game called Barony. I really don't know how to describe this game, but think of it like with the aesthetics of Minecraft. But like, it's a randomly generated roguelike dungeon crawler kind of game. So you can do it solo or play with friends, and there's all these different classes and races that you can play as. So like, for example, if you play as there's a automaton robot, so that instead of having a hunger mechanic, you have a boiler, and instead of eating food, you have to convert loot into like scrap and eat the scrap to keep your boiler running. Otherwise, you die. And then there's other races like succubi, and there's equipment that can be cursed or blessed. So if you're playing as the evil race, you can equip the cursed equipment and take it off. But if you equip something that's blessed, it's stuck on you. So it's kind of like a vice versa, where when you're playing normal races, you get cursed equipment that gets stuck on you. So like there's cursed equipment like an amulet that will strangle you to death. So you can't take it off if you put it on. Or blindfold, essentially. But usually it's kind of like you have to get your item appraisal skill up before I would even recommend even trying to throw any equipment on, because then you can identify what that equipment's going to do. It's really hard game, but it's a lot of fun if you get a group of people to do it, and you're just running through these dungeons, just absolute chaos. If you're a ghost, you can just kind of like, you're just going to be flying around the map and your teammates can see you, and you're just like blowing air or messing with stuff. So, but that's been my week. I mean, I couldn't play as many games as I probably would have normally done, but that's because I was in New Orleans and having the time of my life.
Sounds like a blast. Well, we do have some somber news. Something we definitely wanted to pass on, which, if you're on basically any social media, you probably saw it yourself as well. The fantastic Tony Todd has passed away. He was 69 years old. If you're not familiar with Tony Todd, I mean, there's so many different roles that we could highlight. Candyman, The Crow, Final Destination, and obviously more recently, Spider-Man 2, and his voice as Venom was, I mean, we talked about it when the announcement came for the casting, and I mean, he's got like the perfect Venom voice. Unfortunately, he passed away due to a health incident in his sleep. Again, 69 years old. We certainly want to pass our condolences onto his family, all of his loved ones, because, I mean, literally had never heard anything negative about him. I know that he had created a pretty close bond as well with Najee Jeter from Spider-Man, who plays Miles. So it was just really, really sad to see. So certainly someone who's going to be missed, and someone who, we have a lot of love and respect for. Kind of on the flip side of that, obviously we lost Lance Reddick. I want to say a little less than a year ago. And obviously he is so prevalent in the video game space. So that's Destiny, that is Sylens in Horizon. And Horizon has a new game coming out, Lego Horizon Adventure, which is kind of a more family-friendly, take on the games. Well, they've recast Sylens, and I think who's playing him might be a little bit of a surprise. So Tim Russ, who plays Tuvok in Star Trek Voyager, which is a pretty... the voice is... It's certainly not Lance Reddick, because, I mean, who could be? But he does a pretty good job. If you've had a chance to take a look at some of the clips that IGN have posted, like, it's definitely something to go ahead and kind of watch. But I'm very curious if now he's going to end up being the voice for Sylens in what ends up being the third part of the Horizon series. Something to kind of watch out for. So, 2 quick headlines, which kind of passed through, I feel like, without much fanfare over the last 2 weeks. One, Hogwarts Legacy has sold 30 million copies for a brand new IP. This is absolutely insane numbers. And this game continues to be in the top 10 selling list of, like, when Sony releases their quarterly and monthly stuff. It's still in the top 10 every single time, which is just absolutely insane to me. There are rumors they're working on a DLC for this game. If they do, I'll buy it day one. I will be there. Had an absolute blast playing the game. In addition to Hogwarts Legacy hitting that monumental number, Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold 205 million copies, which is obviously
insane.
one of the greatest selling games of all time. Like, that's just absolutely insane.
GTA Online prints money.
Yeah, and this game continues. It's just like Hogwarts Legacy. This continues to just keep selling like fucking hotcakes. So I want to ask you guys, what game or games do you think have sold more copies than Grand Theft Auto 5?
Pokemon.
I don't think there is a single
talking
game.
one specific game.
Maybe World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14 type games?
No. There's actually only one. Grand Theft Auto is now the second highest selling game, and it has been for a while. So let me put this in perspective. Wii Sports has sold less copies than Grand Theft Auto 5.
Minecraft.
You got it.
I knew it. I'm like trying to think, like, what's the most...
Minecraft has sold 300 million copies. Just the most insane numbers, and I feel like a number that will probably never be surpassed, because Grand Theft Auto has had the longest shelf life of any game that I can remember, and we've got GTA 6 coming next year, and obviously the hype for that is going to be just astronomical.
We will probably see the biggest opening launch
probably
for a game
launch month ever. Yeah, I don't... We'll have to, once we start getting a little bit closer to that launching, we'll have to start doing some digging into what the greatest launch months of all time have ever been and make our projections from there. Because I think that would be a fun exercise to do once we're getting a little bit closer to that. So 2 other things we wanted to hit. It's going to be a shorter episode. Like I said, we had some gaming news, and it mostly came in just over the last day or two. Warcraft 1 and 2 remastered got announced today. Today's actually Warcraft's 30th anniversary, so happy birthday, Warcraft. You're a 30 years old, middle-aged. I
Easy.
probably shouldn't say I'm 32, so...
It's funny, because that's me growing up, is essentially Warcraft.
Yeah, so our whole lives, these games have basically been around. And, I mean, obviously, we had Warcraft 3 remastered, and so, I mean, it would make sense that Blizzard's going to continue the trend. Some of their remasters have not hit as well as they had hoped, so here's hoping that they launch one just in a good state. That's I think
part of that is including a big 2.0 patch for Warcraft 3, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. And then secondly, Microsoft has officially come out. Phil Spencer, I don't know if he was even supposed to come out and say this, but has come out and mentioned that Microsoft is going to make a handheld. Xbox is going to have a handheld console. I think it makes a ton of sense. If you just make a Game Pass machine, basically, it's obviously not going to play, discs. And to be fair, most Xboxes don't play discs anymore anyway. But this is huge. We're in a time where really the Switch and the Steam Deck are the only 2 handhelds that are really making a dent in this market. I am begging Sony, please make us a Vita successor, because it can succeed. Just don't make stupid decisions when it comes to your handheld, like making an SD card that you have to buy this very specific brand of SD cards. I think that this is a truly untapped market, something where, especially if let's say Xbox comes out, knocks this out of the park, which they potentially could. This is going to be one, I think, that we're going to look at for a while and say, this is maybe the point where we saw everybody start getting back into the handheld race, because we've got the Switch 2 incoming as well. And obviously that's going to be the next handheld launching in 2025. So
yeah, if you make a Game Pass machine, it pretty much pays for itself just like that. Just does. You get the Game Pass membership and you get the hardware. That's it.
Yeah, why would you not just... you could basically just use the Steam Deck as your template. And so from an OS standpoint, they'd probably just make something that's very specific to Game Pass, but
something like Windows,
pay for that.
Which Steam Deck's model is pretty great too, if you already have a very sizable Steam library.
Oh, and I hope they do. I would like to get a Steam Deck at some point, because I think I would get so much use out of it. But no. So one thing we did miss while we were out was N7 Day. We didn't get any information this year about the next Mass Effect, which
TV show.
Makes sense, obviously. Well, obviously because the main thing in BioWare's path right now is Dragon Age. Our guys are having some fun playing this game here right now. If you're a Dragon Age fan, please let us know what you think. Anything else you guys wanted to touch on today?
How we think that TV show is going to go?
Depends on who makes it.
How they make it, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you can... A very choice-driven game like Mass Effect, I feel like you can't adapt. But you could do a spin-off in the universe. I always propose
do one about the Tyrian Wars.
Yeah, the First Contact War. So that's probably the best thing to go about doing it. Or, maybe do a origin story where we can see a young Saren and Nihilus and stuff like that as their early days inspectors.
Some of the original Spectres. That would actually be super dope. But, and you could even tell it this, the entire premise of the show is somebody telling stories of all of these legends in the Mass Effect universe, almost like a campfire story style,
Admiral Anderson, when he was going to be a Spectre, we could do that.
And then you could just literally have Keith David play him. So
it's kind of old for that, would he be? Because you got to be playing a younger person at that point.
If you have old Admiral Anderson telling those stories, maybe he's not an admiral anymore. Maybe he's I don't know.
True.
The next rank would be in the...
You could at least narrate it as the flashback narration, and then have someone playing the younger version of him.
Very true.
Hire us. We come up with ideas.
The guy who played the
perfect.
Paladin in Fallout would be the perfect one.
That would
the
actually be a
Captain
great
Anderson
one.
Spectre.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I cannot think of his name, so I'm sorry.
For some reason, I thought you meant Michael Rappaport. I'm like, what the fuck?
Michael Rappaport definitely looks like Keith David as a young man. I'm gonna find this guy's name real quick. Aaron
I don't
Moten?
think he's done much either, though. That's
Moten,
like he's
Honestly,
relatively
like
newer.
they should just recast him to play Kang as well, because he kind of looks like Jonathan Majors a little bit. Like
Somebody said that he's like a budget. He's like a budget Jonathan Majors.
I mean, he's got the acting chop, so I would not be upset at it at all.
No, they scrapped Kang from what I understand.
Which we are having season 2 coming in, and Kira McCulkin is going to be in it.
The ultimate tongue twister.
Kieran?
Huh?
Kieran or Macaulay?
Macaulay.
Nice.
I do like Kieran, though.
The ultimate tongue twister for
Do you think he's got like a base that he has a bunch of traps set up in and he's keeping everybody out? That would be fucking elite.
Oh, they could just do it like a Home Alone. Just some crazy guy just set up in a cave or something.
I actually think that is kind of what he's going to be playing. So we'll have to wait and see.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
But cool. Well, that's a perfect spot for us to go ahead and end. Like I said, shorter episode this week, but we'll be back regular time next week. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe wherever you go ahead and get your podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.
Have a good one.
Thank y'all.